Krystal, what are you taking a look at today?
So as the crisis in Haiti deepens, we are learning more about the shocking and still mysterious plot to assassinate President Jovenel Moise, and the origins of the plot are leading more and more to the Sunshine State. First, we learned of the alleged involvement of 2 Miami area Haitian Americans. We showed you here that video of the attack where someone with American accented English is posing as a DEA agent. Then we learned that a Florida-based security firm, CTU, had allegedly recruited the Haitian American men along with 20-plus ex-Colombian soldiers. Now, according to bombshell revelations from Haiti's police chief, a Florida doctor named Christian Emmanuel Sanon may have been at the center of the plot. So Sanon reportedly planned the attack on Moise with the intent of installing himself as president. How exactly he or any of his hired assassins thought any of this might work out is a bit of a mystery still. Sanon appeared to be in significant debt, making it difficult to finance what was a very expensive operation, with men being paid $3,000 per month. Some of the mercenaries involved reportedly said that they had originally intended to serve Moise an arrest warrant, take him to the presidential palace, and then somehow have Sanon installed. Obviously, that is not remotely what ended up happening. No one seems to have any idea what claim on the presidency this Dr. Sanon might have imagined himself to have. So anyway, that's where we are. A Haitian doctor in Florida hiring a Doral-based security firm staffed mostly with Colombian soldiers to execute an unlikely coup d'etat. Clearly, still a lot of questions about what the hell happened, and also why President Moise's security detail didn't offer any resistance whatsoever. Were they in on it too? What we do know for certain is that Haiti is now descending into a political and humanitarian crisis. Moise, with U.S. backing, keep that in mind, had overstayed his term and was ruling by decree. Haiti has multiple constitutions. There are no clear successors. Most of the judiciary recently resigned en masse, and the head justice, one possible successor, died of COVID 19 days prior to the assassination. So, as all of this unfolds, Haiti faces a crisis, but the U.S. also faces some significant questions as well. Should we send in troops, as the acting prime minister has requested? What aid should we provide, and what should we do about the Haitians who are lining up at the U.S. Embassy hoping to find sanctuary in this nation? Now, in order to understand the decisions that will confront the U.S., we need to understand more than just the events of the last week, because U.S. involvement in creating today's Haitian crisis goes way beyond the seeming involvement of a Miami area security firm in Moise's assassination. In certain ways, Haiti's really an inspiration. Slaves brought to Haiti to work the sugar plantations, they threw off their colonial oppressors in the early 1800s in the most successful slave revolt in history. But Western powers, they weren't done with her yet. To sum up the U.S. relationship to the world's first black republic, we've consistently undermined, invaded, embargoed, fomented coups, and propped up dictators in whatever way we felt would best guarantee that America's elite could continue profiting in and exploiting Haiti whatever way that they saw fit. There was our refusal to recognize the nation at all for 60 years because Southern plantation owners worried about their own slaves getting ideas and revolting. There was our nearly 20-year occupation led by Woodrow Wilson in order to steal Haiti's gold reserves and protect American business interests, such as the Haitian American Sugar Company. There was our propping up with weapons and money and troops the brutally murderous Duvalier dictators, Papa Doc and Baby Doc, because they were anti-communist. Who cares that they were destroying every potential democratic institution and brutally torturing and murdering their own people with death squads, so long as we could count on them to oppose the communists? There was Daddy Bush and George W. Bush, both separately deposing the wildly popular left populist Jean-Bertrand Aristide, once again to protect U.S. business interests and continue an endless anti-left Cold War at any and every cost. A U.S. blockade of Haiti during the second Bush administration further crippled the impoverished nation. Even Obama got in on the act. WikiLeaks revealed the Obama State Department, helmed by one Hillary Rodham Clinton, worked with contractors for Fruit of the Loom, Hanes, and Levi's to block a minimum wage hike that would have seen textile workers earn $5 per day instead of $3 per day. Got to keep those sweatshops going so our multinationals can add a few more millions to their profit margins. All of that history of repeated destabilization and regime change should weigh heavily on our sense of obligation to the people of Haiti now. They have had their own terrible leaders, let's be clear, and corrupt dictators and kleptocratic elites. But we've certainly done our part to screw that country up. So what now? Sending in troops obviously seems like a disastrous idea given our history of invading the country and the very recent history of UN peacekeepers killing thousands with a cholera outbreak and committing rampant sex crimes. Many Haitians would likely deeply resent a militarized American presence. As far as aid goes, of course we should help, but it's also easier said than done. Officials are corrupt, contractors can be corrupt, and the emphasis must be on not only easing immediate suffering, but also building long-term institutions of governance which are truly Haiti's and not some plaything of international businessmen or a handful of in-country elites. As for refugees, of course, the very least we can do is to offer a safe refuge for those truly fleeing violence and poverty that U.S. elites helped to create over hundreds of years. The problem, and the lesson from Haiti, of course, is that when U.S. elites engage in regime change and all of their other corporate protection schemes, the blowback always falls most heavily on the people, especially, of course, on the people of whatever nation we're messing with. But these costs also fall on our own working class. After all, they're the ones who are sent as soldiers to clean up the messes of American imperialism. And when our elites create refugee crises, all the costs of taking those refugees in are pushed on working class communities who generously accept these newcomers into their schools and into their neighborhoods. The question of whether sudden influxes of refugees depresses wages for lower skilled Americans, that evidence is mixed, but at least one study of the Mariel boat lift found life was made more difficult for those lacking a high school degree when a sudden large influx of Cuban refugees was resettled in the Miami area. Now, it doesn't have to be this way, of course. Our economy does not have to be a zero-sum game, pitting native-born and immigrant workers against each other, a game that corporate interests love and cynical politicians manipulate. The bottom line is this. We may not want to have any responsibility for the fate of the Haitian people. We may want to look the other way. But over the entire history of Haiti, from the revolution until today, we have put ourselves at the center of their affairs, co-creating its current chaos. One more lesson that no one needed in how our foreign meddling, coups, and embargoes always end in misery. Here's a crazy idea. How about we tax our meddling rich, use the money to make life good for our own working class and for our new immigrants and refugees, and leave these countries the fuck alone to elect the leaders and set the policies that they want. And Sagar, as I was writing this and as I was... Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.